Shalom y'all. So this is a quick video that I'm making because I am going to be taking a plain polo shirt and I'm going to turn it into a feast day shirt. But I first want to show you the correct way on how to fringe these very, very expensive tassels. Now on my website and also on Facebook, on Instagram, on Etsy, which is the website that I currently use at the moment, these tassels are $13.50 a yard. These tassels are very heavy. They're very expensive. They're very thick on the top here. You can see it's like bigger than my finger. So you want to make sure that when you're putting the ribbon on tassels like this, you take your time and give it as much love as possible so that when you put it onto the polo shirt or your garment or your feast day shirt or your Passover shirt or your wedding garment, because this is beautiful for a wedding garment as well, you want to take your time and make sure the ribbon is perfectly centered. And you also want to make sure that when you put it on the fabric or the shirt or the garment, whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's for male or female, that it doesn't move and it's nice and straight. Now the ribbon that I'm using is also ribbon that I sell, and this ribbon has royal blue with a gold outlining. If you can see that, I am trying to do everything with my now camera holder, and Lord's will, I'm doing a good job because I still don't know how to angle the camera properly and also have my hands free. I can't do everything with, everything in my hands. So I got to try my best to do it the way I'm doing it now. So as you guys can see, there goes the ribbon of blue. So what I'm doing first is the very top. The top is stitched. I started it already, and the bottom is not. As you can see, if I put my finger there, I could still lift this up. But the top part of it, which is from my end, this side, it's already stitched. So I'm going to turn my light on. I don't know if that's too bright. Is that too bright? Is this better? Okay, so how about I do it a little bit with the light and a little bit without the light. Hopefully you guys can see what you need to see. So we're going to start stitching here. Of course, I'm going to leave everything on so you guys can hear everything, see everything, okay? So what I'm basically doing is I'm placing the ribbon dead in the center. Once it's in the center, I don't need to do nothing much or nothing more besides let the machine do what it does. Hey guys, okay, so taking the ribbon, if you can see the top of the border of the fringe itself or the trim itself, they have this little beautiful design. What we're doing is we're going to center the ribbon right in between that design like this. I'm going to try to hold it so it doesn't move like this, and we're going to stitch it on right in between the design, okay? Stitching on the ribbon first, and then we'll get to the shirt. So little by little, to fringe a polo shirt, extra large, 2X, it really takes 1.5 yards to 2 yards, depending on how wide the bottom of the shirt is. So when I am selling my product, I would like to always do a 2-yard minimum. Why? Because, again, some shirts, some garments flare out at the end to give the person enough elasticity to move around so that they do not need to cut their shirt or their garment open and add any zipper. And then some of them is just a plain old regular polo shirt. So to make sure you have enough and you do not, stitch the ribbon or the garment with fringes that's not enough, and then you have to go and figure out how to blend that little extra piece in there, you take 2 yards and you go from there. For my sisters with the princess dresses, I created a circle skirt for myself that was purple and navy blue. And that circle skirt took up 8 yards of bouillon fringes. 8 yards. That is almost all of my 10-yard packets. When I tell you that skirt was heavy, we have to be mindful of the circle skirts. They take up a lot of fringes. And could you imagine having to do 8 yards of this fringes on a skirt? You might want to do a half circle skirt instead of a whole circle skirt. Now, like I said, y'all, I only need about 1.5 yards or 2 yards. So as soon as I'm finished stitching the top, I'm going to close it off, and then I'll start stitching the bottom. And when I start stitching the bottom, I will come back and show you how I'm stitching the bottom. I am trying to make this short but simple and cute, this video. I don't want to make it too lengthy or too long, but stay as close to that gold trim on your ribbon as possible. You've seen my videos before where I was doing bouillon fringes. It's the same concept. It's just that when you're using these fringes, because they are so thick and they have so much more volume, so much more body, so much more detail, you want to make sure that everything is centered. I've been sewing fringes now for about 4 years, so I have developed a technique for eye-hand coordination. You guys know what I mean. That's public school education for you. You can't get your words out. But anyway, eye-hand coordination, I have developed that skill already. So you see me moving a little faster than I would like for you to move. If this is something that you're just starting out doing, you want to move slow. When I say slow, if you don't have to have your hand all the way down here to control your fringes. You want to have your finger all the way up here holding down the ribbon, and you go a little bit, and then you go a little bit, and then you go a little bit, and then you replace it in the center, and then you go a little bit like that. Because I am used to fringing, I could hold it as far down as my lap and let the machine guide the ribbon and all I do is I apply tension. One hand is pulling, the other hand is pulling that way. So one hand's pulling this way, the other hand's pulling that way, so that I can keep the tension on the ribbon onto my trim or my fringes when I'm pulling it like this. If you guys can see, this is me not pulling, this is me pushing, this is me pulling. So when I pull it, it gives a tension on the ribbon to the trim that keeps it in place, and it doesn't move it. So when I have it in place like that, when I'm pulling this, I am not pulling the trim out of the machine. I'm just keeping it straight. When I don't pull on it, you could see like it starts making these little ridges on the bottom. When I do pull on it, it's nice and firm and straight, if you can see that. I hope you can. Now, I did say I was going to stitch with the light on and with the light off. So I'm going to take the light off. I don't know how dark that is or if you can see the difference in what I'm talking about. But there goes the ridges when I'm not pulling on it, when I don't have no tension on it. When I do have tension on it, there you go. You can see how the ribbon does not look like it has any ridges in it, and it's nice and firm. And I just go along. I let the machine do the work. Okay, guys? So once we get to the end, I'll show you guys what I do when I stop and start over. Okay, guys, so I did promise you guys when I get to the end, I'm going to show you guys what I do, right? So now, I always leave a little bit more of ribbon at the end of every trim or bouillon or fringe, whatever I'm doing, so that I can fold it and that it'll have a neat, perfectly neat closing, okay? So I fold it and then I hold it. Again, still with that tension. When it gets up on the machine like it is right now, I lay it flat, pulling that tension, and I go forward. Now, I always want to make sure that the ribbon is tucked in tightly as possible. Sometimes when I fold it in, I also give it like a little tuck, a little bend on the bottom there. I know you can't see that, I'm so sorry. But bend it in there as much as you possibly can. Go forward, put your reverse machine on, go backward, and close it really nice and tight. Now, depending on the color ribbon that you're using, if you can see that, you want to also have that color thread in the machine. Why? Because when you're stitching, you want everything to blend in and disappear and almost look like it belongs there, yeah? So you want to make sure that you try to get your stuff as neat as possible. Get you some dollar rolls of thread from Walmart if you have a Walmart next to you. Or if you have Amazon, Amazon sells this beautiful package of thread. Most of the thread that I use is synthetic. Some of them are cotton. Depending on what I'm stitching, the cotton cuts really easy. The tension... One moment, y'all. Okay, guys, I'm back. So my princess decided to take a bottle of barbecue sauce and paint the floor with it and her clothes. So I had to fix that really quick. But that's just the life of being a mama. So here we go. As you guys can see, I lift up the pressure foot. I turn my fringes completely around. I did not cut the thread or anything like that. And I'm just going to reverse my stitches. Now this part, sometimes it's a little hard for the machine to go through. So you got to push it. You got to give it some tension in order for it to get through there. But once it gets through there, and it comes out on the other side, let the machine do what it does. And at this point, you're just closing out the bottom of the ribbon. You're closing out the bottom of the ribbon. I'm sorry, I'm talking while the machine's on. Please forgive me. You're closing out the bottom of the ribbon. I want you guys to hear me as clearly as possible so that way there's no misunderstanding on what you're doing to make sure that you get the ribbon on here perfectly. Do this all the way to the end. As you can see, I have all of this to do. I'm going to do it all the way to the end, and I'll show you guys what it looked like when it's finished. And then the next video will be me adding these fringes to the polo shirt that I need to upgrade. So here we are, back to the front, to the very beginning. Princess is here with us. This is it, guys, okay? And we're done. So now all of this thread and stuff that we have right here, I'm going to just take my scissors, I'm going to cut it off. Any extra pieces of thread from the tassel itself, I'm going to take that off as well. Ow, stop! Sorry, guys. Okay, so now if you guys can see how that looks right there and how that is on the back there, so you guys can see what I mean when I say I leave a little piece of the ribbon in the back and a little piece of the ribbon in the front. So with this now, I'm going to take my lighter. Let me just try to get my machine out the way. I'll take my lighter and I would just normally burn the ends of the thread and of the ribbon so that it can lay nice and flat. There's no flyaways, there's nothing. It lays nice and flat, guys. You see that? And that's it. And then after this right here, we're just basically going to the shirt. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming and subscribing to my channel. If you haven't yet, please do. Please tell a friend, tell another sister, tell your brothers. For the males who are fringing their own clothing, welcome. To my sisters who are fringing their own clothing, the kids' clothing, their maybe Lord's clothing, welcome as well. Thank you so much. These are how the ribbon and the tassels look, and I just love that little shimmer that the ribbon of blue gives me. It's so much life. So much life. Again, this is part 1. Part 2 would be me putting this actually on the garment. So here we go, part 2.